Chosen one, be still for a moment. Breathe in not just with your body, but with your spirit. Something eternal is unfolding around you, and your soul has already sensed it long before your mind could explain. This is not just another passing message. This is a divine interruption, a moment that chose you. You did not stumble here by coincidence. You were summoned. Heaven has whispered, and the message is unmistakable for those with ears tuned to the unseen. God has announced days that are unlike any other days, not marked by calendars, but carved into the sacred timeline of your life before your first breath. These are not days of routine, but days of transformation, of sudden openings, of unshakable release. You felt the tremble within you, the unease, the tension, the anticipation. You were right. Something is coming, something holy, something long awaited is now being released into motion. Doors you never touched are swinging wide. Names that never knew yours are being stirred to speak it aloud. The silence that once seemed like denial was in truth sacred preparation. What was hidden is now being revealed, because what God sets in motion is never random. It is ordered. It is intentional. It is holy. You may not have seen the schedule, but heaven has been tracking every second, and the time of divine acceleration is now upon you. When the spiritual ground trembles, it is not to shake you into fear, but to awaken what is ancient inside of you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are stepping into the exact moment that was always waiting for you to arrive. Destiny is in motion. The announcement has already been spoken in the heavens, and you, chosen one, are ready to hear, ready to feel, ready to walk into the pages written long ago with your name upon them. But do not sit in silence. Engage and declare your alignment. If your spirit resonates, type 777 in the comments, a number of divine completion and heavenly covenant. To those who have poured into this mission, thank you. Your generosity is not unnoticed in heaven. It is the kindling of fire for chosen ones around the world, lighting the way for what is coming next. But this is only the beginning. What is about to be revealed will bring clarity to your delays, purpose to your pressure, and meaning to the dreams that have refused to die. Stay here, stay listening. What comes next could shift the axis of your life. The days you waited for were never denied. They were hidden not to hurt you, but to protect you. God veiled them because what He designed for you is sacred, and sacred things must be shielded from premature exposure. The enemy could not attack what he could not see. Your miracle was not late, it was sealed for its appointed time. Declared in a realm where time itself bows to divine authority. Before you ever felt the shift, heaven had already spoken. You are not catching up, you are arriving. You are not behind, you are precisely on schedule. Like Moses, who never lost his way in the wilderness because God's presence went before him. So too has the Spirit gone ahead of you. You didn't always recognize it, but it was never about your awareness. It was always about your preparation. Now you approach the invisible threshold of breakthrough, the unseen line drawn between what has been and what shall be. You did not know it was there, because it was never meant to be seen until the moment you were strong enough to carry it. The nights you cried were not wasted. The silence was not empty. Every tear was watering the soil. Every prayer was building the altar. And now, the foundation has been laid for the promise to rise. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking into the fulfillment of what has always belonged to you. You were never ignored. You were being refined. The silence wasn't absence, it was fire. Holy fire. And like gold in the furnace, it was not destruction, but revelation. The heat did not come to harm you, but to bring forth your brilliance. As it is written in Zechariah, I will bring the third part through the fire. They will call on my name, and I will answer. You were not abandoned. You were being called deeper into the process that heaven reserves only for the ones it trusts with glory. Let me tell you about Layla. She was a nurse, unseen, working long nights in a forgotten hospital. One winter, after a shift, she stayed just a little longer, not because she was asked, but because compassion stirred her to sit beside a man no one noticed, a retired judge named Elias. What she didn't know was that this man had once overseen a vast fund for medical outreach. And months later, her simple act of unseen kindness birthed a fully funded clinic named after her. That is the mystery of divine timing. The extraordinary is often disguised in the ordinary. The doors that change your life forever rarely announce themselves before they open. Could it be that the moments you called small, the ones no one else saw, were the very moments heaven chose to elevate you even now? You can feel it, not with your eyes, but with something deeper. Your spirit knows the weight of what's coming, and because of that weight, your story had to be layered. Your training had to be private. Your fire had to be intense. Not everyone saw your battle. Not everyone understood the cost, but the glory that awaits cannot be entrusted to the untested. You have walked through empty seasons with faith as your only companion. You've held on when there was nothing left to hold. That kind of obedience carries weight in heaven. Christine Kane once said, "Sometimes when you are in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually you've been planted, chosen one. You weren't buried. You were sown into the earth like a seed, covered, quiet, hidden not to be forgotten, but to prepare for impact. And now you can feel it, can't you? The breaking of the soil above you, the signs of movement, the holy tension of becoming. What if the pain was simply growth that outpaced your awareness? What if the ache in your spirit was not because something was ending, but because something massive was being born? The winds have changed. They are no longer still. They are not just circling around your life, they are rising within you. There is a scent of shift in the air, the same way seasons change without asking permission. There is a divine rearranging happening in the unseen parts of you. Something sacred is realigning. Let me tell you about Aiden, a young artist. He painted in silence, believing no one would ever see his work. But one day, a forgotten painting in a hidden gallery caught the eye of a collector. Without warning, Aiden's art was suddenly seen, featured, celebrated. It wasn't the quality of his gift that changed. It was the release of divine timing. This is how heaven moves. What you mistook for rejection was heaven's redirection. What you called failure was God's protection. The platforms you were denied weren't big enough for the weight of your calling. God was preserving your power for a place that could carry it. The delays were never divine distance. They were divine defense. As it is written in Psalm 31, "My times are in your hands." What if the timing you fought against was the very hand of God shielding you from something smaller than your destiny? And now, chosen one, the days are drawing near. And what once made no sense will begin to come together with clarity. The preparation had to go deep, because the foundation must match the weight of the promise. It wasn't punishment. It was precision. Like David, who faced the lion and the bear in silence before ever standing before Goliath. God was strengthening your hands in secret so you could carry glory in public without trembling. These days ahead will not merely shift your outer world, they will align your inner one. The questions you whispered through tears will be answered, not by explanation, but by manifestation. You will not need to explain yourself. The fruit will speak, And when the time is right and oh, chosen one, the time is near, God says, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Isaiah 60:22. Heaven is not a distant idea. It is unfolding now. What felt like silence was strategy. You are not stepping into the future. You are becoming the future. The alignment is already happening. Relationships you thought were lost forever will begin to mend not through force, but through mercy. Hearts that were stone will soften. Connections that were broken will be woven back together by unseen hands. Resources you used to chase will begin to find you. Doors you thought were sealed will open without effort. You won't need applause, because heaven has marked this moment. This is your season of divine repayment, and it will not come from those who overlooked you. It will come from the hand of the one who never did. Have you forgotten, chosen one, that God is not unjust? He has not overlooked your faith. He has not ignored your labor of love, as it is written in Hebrews 6:10. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. And though the nights have been long, though silence has stretched across seasons, though rejection echoed louder than applause, you must understand this: your future was never built on the opinion of man. Heaven does not consult your past to write your destiny. These days of restoration were not put to a vote. They did not wait for your permission. They waited for your preparation. And the truth is, you've been preparing even when you didn't know you were. Every morning you woke up when hope felt thin. Every time you chose faith over fear, purpose over despair, love over numbness, you were building something sacred. Even when nothing around you reflected your effort, heaven was watching. Do you remember how often you chose excellence in silence? How many times you gave your best when no one was watching? That was not wasted. That was worship. Every quiet yes, every unseen act of faith, every moment you refused to quit, they were not ignored. They were being sown into eternity. You, like Noah, have been building an ark under a sky that showed no sign of rain. You kept building because you believed, and now the clouds are gathering. What if your quiet obedience was the very sound that activated heaven? And now, heaven is answering. Prepare for divine acceleration, rapid, irrational, unexplainable by human terms. Like Joseph, who went from the prison to the palace in a single day. Your moment of elevation is near, as Genesis 41:14 declares. The call can come in a moment and suddenly everything changes. Do not shrink when favor finds you. Do not hesitate when doors swing open with no explanation. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is divine orchestration. Your name has already been spoken in rooms you've never entered. Your obedience has echoed through the heavens, and God has walked where you could not. Your feet may be tired, but your steps have been ordered, as Psalm 37:23 says. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. And now, chosen one, your blessing has been released, not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, but because you endured for it. This isn't just your time. This is your appointed time, and appointed moments in heaven are never late. They arrive in perfect rhythm, like notes played from a divine symphony that only the faithful can hear. This pattern of grace is not limited to ancient stories, it is alive in the present. Consider Howard Schultz, once a boy in public housing, raised in poverty. He had no legacy but carried vision. He once said, "Risk more than others think is safe. Dream more than others think is practical." His path was marked by failure. His doors often closed, but one opportunity opened, and everything changed. What seemed sudden was actually years of quiet resilience manifesting in a moment. You too have carried vision in silence. You too have believed when nothing around you confirmed your belief. And now, the heavens are honoring that unseen bravery. This is not just a breakthrough. It is a chain reaction. One miracle will lead to another. One door will unlock a hallway of divine appointments. What's coming is not a moment, it is a movement. A divine rhythm is unfolding, taking you from quiet survival into undeniable significance. It will feel surreal, like watching your dreams walk ahead of you, inviting you to catch up. But hear me, what feels sudden to you has been growing in the spirit for years. Like the bamboo tree that shows no sign of growth above ground for 5 years, yet beneath the surface. It is preparing, stretching, anchoring until suddenly, in mere weeks, it rises 90 feet. That is what's happening in your life now. The root system of your faith has reached its moment of maturity. The surface is about to erupt with life. Let me tell you about Mateo, a soft-spoken man who managed a small, quiet bookstore. Years passed. He served faithfully, recommending books to strangers with kindness. He had no idea one of them was a renowned film director, visiting anonymously. Then one evening, that director returned not to buy a book, but to ask for his insight. Mateo became a co-writer on a major motion picture. Not because he chased fame, but because he lived with quiet faithfulness. Chosen one. This is your moment. What has been unfolding in shadows is now rising into the light, not by accident, not by human approval, but by divine decree. His life shifted in a single night, but it was never sudden to heaven. It was a harvest of unseen faithfulness, of quiet obedience sown in silence, of integrity held in the dark. And what you are about to walk into, chosen one, is your harvest too, a harvest born from the nights when your hope trembled but did not fall. A harvest born from the hours when you chose obedience over comfort, character over convenience. This is not just the answer to your prayer. This is the reward of your endurance. You are now reaping what you sowed when the ground looked barren and no one else believed in the soil but you and God. And the God who never forgets, who keeps perfect records and writes in eternal ink, is placing that reward in your hands now, as it is written in Luke 8:17. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. The time of hidden obedience is ending. The season of revealed glory is here. You are not stepping into luck. You are stepping into what has always carried your name in the spirit. You are stepping into a promise that predates your pain. The days that are coming carry more than just the answers to your long-awaited prayers. They carry something far more sacred, your new identity. You will not exit this season the same way you entered it. Your name is being elevated. Your posture, once hunched under the burden of endurance, is rising in divine clarity. Even the air around you is shifting to make room for the version of you that heaven has always known. You are not just stepping into blessing. You are stepping into becoming the truest expression of who you were always meant to be. That is why you must walk carefully, but boldly like Moses before the burning bush. As God said in Exodus 3:5, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy ground." These moments are not ordinary. Do not rush them. Do not waste them. They are divine appointments etched into the fabric of time. What if every step you take now is a seed being sown for generations you will never meet? What if your obedience today becomes the breakthrough for your children's children? Those who doubted you, dismissed you, misread your silence as weakness. They will not be answered with words. They will be answered with fruit, because fruit speaks louder than defense ever could. The glory on your life will become undeniable. As Romans 8:18 reminds us, the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed in us. You won't need to announce the shift. Your presence will declare it. Conversations will pause when you enter, not out of fear, but reverence, not because of who you are, but because of what you carry. What they sense will not be pride. It will be presence, evidence, proof of divine transformation. The kind of shift no man can fabricate and no devil can counterfeit. Even your environment will begin to resist what no longer matches your calling. Old rooms will feel too small. Familiar cycles will begin to chafe. This discomfort is not chaos. It is confirmation. You are being stretched like the eagle whose nest becomes prickly, not to punish, but to provoke flight. You are being prepared to soar. Have you noticed how places that once felt like home now feel like history? That is not confusion. That is transition. You are being moved spiritually, emotionally, even financially, because the days that were announced over your life carry weight, and you cannot carry new glory with old attachments. To step into what is next, you must let go of what no longer holds you. A friend once told me about Mireia, a humble midwife in the countryside. For months, she felt restless, waking from dreams filled with unfamiliar cityscapes and faces she did not know. Just when she considered dismissing the signs, the call came. A global health organization offered her a leadership role she had never applied for. Her restlessness had been prophecy all along. Her discomfort was not resistance, it was revelation. Could it be that your current unrest is not a problem, but a whisper, a holy signal that heaven is moving? Your instincts are no longer ordinary. Your discernment is awakening. Doubt no longer clouds your perception. You are beginning to sense things before they arrive. You are not imagining it. You are perceiving what has always been planned for you. These moments are nearer than they appear. Behind the veil of daily life, there is movement. Conversations are happening where your name is spoken with honor. Blueprints are being drawn. Spaces are being carved in places you haven't yet seen, spaces that only you can fill. As Proverbs 18:16 declares, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. And now, the room is being prepared. The doors are opening. The light is falling on your name. Chosen one, the future is not coming. It is arriving. And that's exactly what's being prepared for you now. A room that matches your gift. Not a favor of chance, not a stroke of luck, but the fruit of holy orchestration. This is what heaven does, as C.S. Lewis once wrote, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Chosen one. Could it be that your years of silent faith, your hidden sacrifice, your unseen endurance have been carving out space for an extraordinary unveiling? Let me show you a glimpse. There was a young man named Ezra. For years, he repaired watches in his father's dusty little shop, faithful, precise, unnoticed, until one stormy afternoon, a wealthy collector stepped inside, drawn not only by Ezra's craftsmanship but by the peace he carried. That one moment opened a door, a mentorship, and eventually, a global brand. Ezra hadn't changed. He had simply been seen at the right time. And that, chosen one, is what's coming for you, a time where your unseen labor collides with undeniable favor. Stay faithful, stay focused, stay grounded. The wind may not shout, but it is moving, and as it does, you will be led straight into what was always yours, written into eternity long before your earthly story began. The days of delay served their sacred purpose. They were not setbacks. They were sanctuaries of restraint, not wasted time, but divine pause designed to deepen your roots and expand your capacity. The season of obscurity has finished its assignment. What was hidden is now being summoned forward. What once lingered in silence is now rising into motion. These days, God declared over your life, they are not approaching. They are at the door, and you, beloved, are arriving right on time. Have you ever wondered why the delay felt so long, yet your spirit would not let you quit? It's because your spirit already knew. You are rising now into your appointed position, and the atmosphere around you knows it too. The gravity of your life is shifting. Old weights, fear, labels, shame, comparison are falling away. And as they do, something radiant begins to emerge. Others may not find the words for it, but you will feel it. You'll recognize it as the manifestation of what God once whispered in the dark. Before your first heartbreak, before your first no, before the silence, before your first doubt, He had already spoken these days into being. As He declared in Jeremiah 5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. You are not becoming something random. You are becoming something heaven always saw even when you could not. Now that your spirit has awakened to this truth, walk boldly. Do not shrink to fit where you no longer belong. Do not water down your power to soothe the comfort of others. These are the days where your prophecy walks with you not as a vision on paper, but as a tangible reality unfolding with every breath you take. Step by step, breath by breath, you're not dreaming. That rhythm you feel is not imagination. It's alignment. You've waited long enough. But even in your waiting, you were becoming. You were not idle, you were not forgotten. You were being fortified. Like David, tending sheep in fields of invisibility before he was anointed king, 1 Samuel 16:11. While others advanced in appearance, you advanced in depth. God was refining your soul not to punish, but to prepare you for the pressure that accompanies favor. These days ahead are not accidents. They are not scattered blessings. They are the result of every private decision you made to trust when it made no sense. They are heaven's yes to the nights you whispered through tears. God, I still believe. These are not sparks of chance, they are coordinates of obedience. And maybe, just maybe, the stillness you once feared was the sacred sense of divine construction. Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. Even when it felt like nothing was moving, He was arranging everything. And now the veil is lifting. The days are no longer coming. They are here. And you'll know them not because they roar, but because they resonate. A divine rhythm is humming in the background of your soul. They will feel like familiarity wrapped in newness. Even ordinary moments will begin to carry holy weight. Conversations will shift. Environments will bend under the anointing you now walk in. People will pause not because of who you are, but because of what you carry. And what you carry will no longer be invisible. As actor Denzel Washington once said, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. And you, chosen one, have lived that truth. It was never ease that shaped you. It was fire. And now you rise not burnt, but branded. Not broken, but commissioned. Let me leave you with one final story. Amari, a single mother. She cleaned hotel rooms at night to provide for her daughter. She worshipped in silence while scrubbing floors, whispered scriptures between exhaustion. Until one night, a guest forgot a manuscript. Amari returned it personally. The guest, a publisher, The manuscript, a book that led to a conversation, a connection, a career. It happened in a moment, but heaven had been writing it for years. And now, chosen one. Heaven is writing your moment. You are stepping into what has always been yours. Walk forward, eyes open, heart steady, because what's coming next will not just change your path. It will reveal who you've always been. She had no platform, no connections, no grand opportunity waiting, but still. Amari whispered her prayers in the quiet as she cleaned. One evening, when no one was watching, she chased down a stranded executive to return a forgotten briefcase. That simple act became the spark. A conversation began. And from that moment, a scholarship foundation was birthed in her name. She hadn't asked for elevation. She didn't chase recognition. She simply lived with quiet excellence. But heaven had been keeping notes. What if your breakthrough isn't coming with thunder, but with the quiet weight of glory? What if it's already begun, not in the form of noise, but in the gentleness of rain? The shift you've waited for may not shout when it arrives, but you'll feel it. Your anointing will not need an announcement. The atmosphere will testify. The room will notice. The air will change when you walk in. That's how favor speaks. It does not speak in volume. It speaks in presence, like the sacred oil that flowed down Aaron's beard. As Psalm 133:2 describes, it may move slowly, but it is holy. It is undeniable, and it leaves a fragrance wherever it touches. This oil, the evidence of God's hand, will be your signature. The impact will not just reach you, it will ripple through everyone connected to you. These days are not random. They are encoded with instruction. They carry meaning. They carry divine insight. They carry legacy. Don't just survive them. Read them. Let every moment teach you why the rejection was needed. Let the betrayal become your revelation. Let the delays refine you rather than define you. As Galatians 6:9 reminds us, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. Take it all in now. Let the story of your past settle in the light of divine purpose. Let your obedience speak for itself. Let this next step be more than movement, it must be becoming. You are not simply stepping into new day. You are stepping into the version of yourself heaven always saw. You will look back and see it clearly. Every slammed door was not rejection. It was divine redirection. Every painful detour you questioned was actually a shortcut written by a God who sees what you cannot. Every no you heard wasn't denial. It was God's yes spoken in another language, the language of protection, preparation, and preservation. Have you ever stopped to thank God for the heartbreaks that saved you from being tied to the wrong people, wrong places, and lesser purposes? You were never being denied. You were being reserved for something far greater than you would have chosen on your own. If those early doors had opened, you might have settled. But God didn't call you to settle. He called you to reign. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future, Jeremiah 29:11. That's why your spiritual sensitivity matters now more than ever. The enemy senses your shift even if you don't fully see it yet. Distractions will rise. Old patterns may whisper. Familiar voices may try to bring you back to an outdated version of yourself. But don't be moved. Your faith has been forged through fire. And when faith has survived the flame, no tactic of the enemy can prevail. Could it be that this new resistance is not an attack, but a sign that your rising has begun? God has placed a divine shield around you in these appointed days. What has been declared over your life in heaven cannot be reversed on earth. Isaiah 54:17, is not just a verse for you. It's a decree: no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. The plans made in secret against your future, they will collapse in public. The lies spoken to dim your light, they will dissolve in the radiance of your fruit. And those who once questioned your calling will be witnesses of your transformation in real time. Consider Viola Davis, once a child in poverty, surviving off scraps and silence. But she didn't wait for permission. She rose from shame and lack and walked straight into legacy. She once said, "The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity." She didn't just receive opportunity, she became one. And now the world applauds what heaven always knew. And you, chosen one, are walking into that same dynamic, not just into opportunity, but into divine permission. These are not days for false humility. These are days for bold presence. Take up space. Walk tall. No more tiptoeing through rooms you were born to reign in. You are not the visitor anymore. You are the one the room has been waiting for. Why else would God have brought you through such fire? Unless He intended to seat you where others never imagined you'd stand. Don't shrink to soothe someone else's insecurity. Don't dim to make others more comfortable in your shadow. The glow you carry is not it is proof. And proof does not apologize. You did not earn this through performance. You didn't hustle your way here. You obeyed. You endured. You believed when it made no sense. You kept showing up when no one clapped. You watered your promise with your tears, and now, chosen one, heaven is answering. Not with a whisper this time, but with a wave. Divine days do not respond to desperation. They respond to discernment. And this is that moment, not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you has awakened. Can you feel it? The shift is not loud, but it is holy. It doesn't scream, it whispers in peace. It doesn't shake the earth, it steadies your spirit. Discern this: access is forming. Favor is flowing. And elevation no longer feels foreign, because your spirit always knew it was coming. This is your moment to recognize heaven's yes, not just in the miracles, but in the alignment of your thoughts, your posture, your inner clarity. You don't need the world's approval when you carry God's appointment. When the butterfly leaves the cocoon, it doesn't return to explain its transformation to the caterpillars. It simply flies. That's your invitation now. No more explaining. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission to become who heaven already called you to be. I once heard of Elias, a quiet accountant who worked in the same office for 15 years, unnoticed. Then one morning, he was asked to give a simple presentation. No fanfare, no grand build-up, but the ideas he presented shifted the company's future. Within a month, he was named CFO. No application, no promotion ladder, just divine recognition meeting years of hidden excellence. What if what's next for you won't come through strategy, but through alignment? What if the door opens not because you knocked, but because your obedience echoed loudly in heaven? Walk like you belong because you do. Speak like you're chosen because you are. Rest like you are covered because you have been from the beginning. Remember this: God doesn't just elevate the talented. He elevates the faithful. And you, chosen one, have been faithful in the shadows. Now heaven is responding in power. In these appointed days, your voice will carry unusual weight. It is no longer just sound. It is strategy. It is authority. What you speak is no longer commentary on your condition. It is prophecy over your future. So speak deliberately. Speak with fire. Speak as one whose words shape the soil of their destiny. You shall also declare a thing, and it will be established for you. So light will shine on your ways. Job 22:28. That is not poetry. That is instruction. Speak abundance, not anxiety. Speak alignment, not confusion. Speak with the conviction of someone who already walks in rooms they once prayed just to glimpse. Because your language must now rise to meet your elevation. You are not narrating pain anymore. You are proclaiming purpose. And have you noticed what once seemed impossible is now quietly unfolding? The connections, they're coming, sometimes with no warning, sometimes with no explanation, but they will arrive with unmistakable signs. People will begin to enter your life carrying what you need: wisdom, access, direction, doors. Do not second-guess it. Do not disqualify yourself with small thinking. Receive what flows. These are not coincidences. These are divine appointments. Heaven's calendar is catching up with your obedience. Could it be that help is arriving now, not because you begged louder, but because heaven has whispered, now is the time, yes. And it will not come through force. It will come through grace, through stillness, through holy encounters. Let me tell you of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch watchmaker turned warrior of mercy. She survived the Holocaust, lost family, walked through pain we can scarcely imagine, and yet she lived her days declaring, never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. That's the posture you must walk in now. Even if it feels unfamiliar, walk open, walk receptive, walk surrendered. Every connection in this season carries divine intent. No more distractions, no more draining relationships, no more empty attachments. This is the season of sacred alignment. God is not just removing people, He is replacing them with purpose carriers. You will look back and realize what felt like loss was a holy exchange. This is also the season where what once felt unreachable becomes routine. Processes that took years will now happen in days. Strategies you labored to force will now flow freely from divine wisdom. Blessings that once felt buried beneath delay will now arrive doubled in speed and strength. Why? Because the voice of God over your life is now louder than the resistance surrounding it. Heaven has spoken. And when heaven speaks, nothing on earth can reverse it. No system, no sabotage, no spiritual warfare can cancel what has been commanded. The word of the Lord shall not return void, but it will accomplish what He desires. Isaiah 55:11. That word, it has been spoken over you. And now, chosen one, you are living in the very days it begins to come to pass. Isaiah 55:11. And heaven has spoken. The word has gone forth. The timeline has been activated. You are no longer waiting. You are walking. You are stepping into moments prophets only dreamed of. Entering tables that once excluded you. Moving into seasons that were prepared long before you arrived. The wind has found your wings. The rhythm of heaven has synchronized with the cadence of your soul. Even your pace will change. You will walk not with exhaustion, but with clarity. Not with striving, but with rhythm. Not with anxiety, but with joy. Not because life has become perfect, but because your spirit has finally aligned with the movement of heaven's calendar. The old confusion has been silenced. The fog has lifted. What once blurred your sight now bows to divine focus. You will wake up with new breath, walk with new fire, and dream without apology. What weighed you down yesterday has no permission to follow you today. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagle. Isaiah 40:31. Your fatigue wasn't just physical. It was the weariness of spiritual misalignment. But now, you are in sync. Your soul has found the current usun, and suddenly, your strength is returning not little by little, but like a rushing river gaining force. You are gaining velocity. Let me tell you about Isla, a quiet janitor who spent her lunch breaks journaling in solitude. She didn't know that her words were prophetic seeds. Her prayers, written in silence, were a manuscript heaven had highlighted. One day, a teacher found her notebook and passed it to a publisher. Within months, her words were translated into 6 languages. She hadn't chased a platform. Her obedience built one. Could it be that what you are doing quietly now will become the spark for global transformation? Could the hidden seed you're planting today be the harvest that touches nations? And when the manifestation begins, and it will, don't be ashamed if you weep. Don't hide the trembling in your voice or the weight in your chest. That emotion is not weakness. It is a sacred remembering, the release of years spent believing when nothing was blooming. The tears are the holy water of a soul that refused to stop hoping. Let them fall. Let them testify to the God who sees, the God who keeps records, the God who performs what he promises. Blessed is she who believed, for there will be a fulfillment of those things which were told her from the Lord. Luke 1:45. You are walking now in the fulfillment, not the foreshadowing, not the preparation, the fulfillment. Understand this: what is unfolding cannot be reversed. The shift is not temporary, it is eternal. This isn't a passing wave, it's a tide. And a tide doesn't visit, it lifts everything it touches. God's calendar never turns backward. His word doesn't boomerang. He didn't call you forward so you could be returned to your former place. You've stepped into a story that has no rewind. Can you feel it? How the old strategies no longer apply. How the old fears feel weightless now. You're no longer hustling to earn what was already written in your name. You're no longer bargaining for what obedience has already unlocked. The door didn't open because of your grind. It opened because you aligned. And when divine days are activated, your role isn't to push, it's to trust. You are not carrying this by yourself. Grace is doing the heavy lifting now. Let obedience guide your steps. Let peace anchor your heart, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Some people will not understand this version of you. Some may pull away. Some may question or distance themselves, but do not let their confusion interrupt your clarity. You don't owe an explanation for a revelation they were never meant to receive. Let your life speak. Let your fruit do the talking. Let your results answer every question. Have you considered this truth? Some people were only assigned to your preparation season, not your performance, like scaffolding necessary while the structure is forming, but removed when the building is complete. Don't fight to hold on to what heaven is already removing. Don't chase what grace has released. Bless them. Release them. Make room. New alignments are coming. I once heard of Thalia, a florist in a quiet town. For decades, she placed handwritten prayers in every bouquet she sold. No recognition, no applause. One day, a grieving woman received one of her arrangements. The prayer in that bouquet spoke directly to her pain. That woman was a journalist. Her story went viral. And Thalia's faith, sewn in petals and paper, became a nationwide movement of prophetic encouragement. What was once considered small heaven was using it as seed. And now, chosen one. So is your life. The petals you've planted, the prayers you've written, the tears you've sown, the obedience you've offered. Heaven never forgot. And now, the performance has begun. One quiet morning, a grieving journalist received flowers wrapped in the tenderness of Thalia's handwritten prayer. That one note opened something eternal. The journalist wrote about it, and days later, Thalia's humble shop, once unnoticed, became a sanctuary for hundreds searching for peace. And she never changed. She didn't chase. She didn't strive. Her breakthrough came not through performance, but through consistency, kindness, and quiet, unwavering faith. Could it be that what you are walking into was never meant to be loud? It was always meant to be sacred. You'll begin to notice it, not in fireworks, but in rhythm. Miracles will start to feel natural, not because they are less divine, but because your soul is finally aligned with the frequency of heaven. Doors will open and you will not be shocked. You'll just breathe and walk through. Favor will feel like timing, and timing will feel like purpose. Like a tree that senses spring and begins to bloom without trying, your spirit will simply know it's time. You will feel full again, not with noise, not with answers, but with a deep, undeniable knowing I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. No more second guessing. No more wondering. These are the days that were sealed into your destiny long before time reached your birth. And now they are being unsealed, not through force, but through your faithfulness, your presence, your willingness to keep showing up, fully, fearlessly, aligned, like the Israelites who crossed the Jordan at the word of the Lord. You don't need all the answers to take the next step. You just need to move. And the moment your foot touches the waters, they will part. Joshua 3. At the right time. I, the Lord, will make it happen. Isaiah 60:22. You are not late. You are not early. You are on divine time. You are now standing in the sacred, in between, the narrow bridge between prophecy and fulfillment, where what was only seen in the spirit now begins to manifest in your steps. Can you feel the air thick with promise? Can you feel the difference in your breath, the holy stillness surrounding you? This is the zone where destiny kisses earth. This is the place where the prayers you once whispered through tears now echo through your reality. What was once just vision now has weight. What once lived only in fasting, in worship, in secret hope now begins to take form. The light you chased is now shining on your face. The dream you carried is now walking beside you, and chosen one. Hear this clearly, this is only the beginning. These divine days announced over your life are not subtle. They are sovereign. Not just moments, but movements. Not just favor, but fulfillment. They were forged in eternity with surgical precision. They have arrived to draw a line in time, not between one year and another, but between who you were and who you were always meant to become. This isn't a soft transition. This is a divine separation. These days carry enough voltage to break generational cycles that have haunted your lineage in silence. They carry power not just to shift your now, but to mark you forever, not just in this world, but in the realm of the spirit. This is not emotion. It is holy timing. Have you ever wondered, what if everything I've endured, all the ache, the confusion, the delay, was preparing me for a single concentrated moment of divine collision now? That question is being answered in real time. You have entered the atmosphere of alignment, where the whisper of God spoken over your life now collides with the world around you. And you'll feel it not softly, but with certainty. A moment will come, and something in you will say, "This is it. This is the moment I was made for." The signs won't be vague. They'll be unmistakable. The doubt will dissolve in the brightness of clarity. And in the middle of it all, there will be peace, not surface level, Circumstantial calm, but anchoring peace, the kind that confirms what your spirit has always known. God has gone before me. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Psalm 139:5. And yes, you may notice something else, a strange stillness, a silence weightier than anything you've known. But don't misread it. This is not delay. This is the sacred pause before divine unveiling. It is heaven holding its breath. It is the hush before thunder. You are now walking into rooms that once lived only in your imagination. And all of heaven is watching not with anxiety, but with joy. Could it be that the world has grown quiet not because you've been forgotten, but because heaven is leaning in? You've cried behind closed doors. You've fasted in private. You've kept sowing when no one saw. And now you will be elevated in public, but not for applause, for assignment, not for spotlight, but for evidence. Like Esther, who was elevated not for comfort but for kingdom strategy, so too your rise is not random. Esther 4:14. You are being positioned not for popularity, but for purpose. Your impact will not be measured in likes or noise, but in obedience, surrender, purity, and power. These are the marks heaven will recognize. And soon you'll look back, not in confusion but in clarity, and you will say, that was the day everything shifted. Not because the sky changed, but because you did. Because you stopped chasing and started flowing. Because you stopped knocking harder and began carrying the sound of heaven within you. You realize doors don't open through desperation, they open through alignment. And now, they're opening not by force, but by frequency. You've become the sound that heaven responds to. Let me tell you of Pastor A.R. Bernard, once a banker, consumed by ambition until he surrendered it all to follow the whisper of God. He built one of the largest churches in New York City, not through noise, but through kingdom alignment. He once said, "The will of God is not automatic, but it is inevitable for the obedient." That's your confirmation. You didn't chase this moment. You aligned with it. And now, evidence will find you. Opportunities will seek you. Conversations, doors, resources, they will be drawn to your life like gravity. Not because you manipulated it, but because obedience has weight and heaven responds to it. Let me tell you of Ezra, a quiet stonemason, during lunch breaks. He carved scriptures into tiny stones, not for recognition, but for reverence. One day, a tourist picked one up, moved deeply by the words etched into rock. That stone made its way into the hands of a cathedral leader. Within a year, Ezra was commissioned to engrave scripture into the sanctuary walls of a church in Jerusalem. Heaven had scheduled his unveiling. Why will your voice now carry authority? Because it has passed through fire. Because your mouth has learned silence. Because your hands have been consecrated by hidden faithfulness. Because your name, once whispered in prayer, is now endorsed by heaven. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, and in due time, he will lift you up. 1 Peter 5:6. These are not just elevated days, they are demonstration days. And your life, chosen one, is the stage where God has chosen to reveal his power. But listen carefully, there is something sacred you must never forget. Elevation is not just reward, it is responsibility. It is not just a rise, it is a mantle. If you are not vigilant, the blessings sent to elevate you can become distractions that dull your reverence. Familiarity is a thief, and the first thing it steals is your awe. Guard your wonder like a flame in the wind. These days are not ordinary, they are holy appointment. Even as doors swing wide and favor wraps itself around your name. Return daily to the source. Feed your spirit with fresh manna, not yesterday's strength, but today's surrender. I will rain down bread from heaven for you. Each day the people are to go out and gather enough for that day. Exodus 16:4-5. Why? Because what sustained you in the last season will not carry you through the next unless it is fresh, unless it is divine, unless it is alive. These miracles you are walking in were not born of luck. They were not crafted in boardrooms or by behind-the-scenes strategy. This was divine design, tailored in eternity, stitched into your timeline by the hand of God. As your elevation rises, your awareness must rise too. Now is the time to become the gatekeeper of your mind, your heart, and your relationships. Not everyone from your past is permitted to walk with you into the sacred space of your future. Haven't you noticed when your light begins to grow? Old shadows start to move. Some people will reappear not to celebrate, but to observe, not to honor, but to revisit their version of you. Don't carry resentment, but don't carry them either. This chapter is not about reliving old cycles. These days were not announced for you to repeat lessons you've already passed. You are not who you were. You are not here to explain. You are here to become. Let peace be your confirmation. Let fruit be your proof. Let silence protect what only heaven can fully explain. This is your reveal, not your rehearsal. This is your release, not your return. Walk forward now unapologetically, intentionally, reverently, not because the world is watching, but because heaven has called you. And once heaven calls, there is no going back. You will look back at this moment and say, that was the day everything changed, not because the world shifted, but because I did. Because I finally believed I was never waiting on destiny. Destiny had been waiting on me. These days were not announced for entertainment. They were spoken so you could walk in wisdom, so you could harvest fruit that once looked like mere seed buried in wilderness. Even Jesus, after rising from the dead, didn't return to every place he had been. He appeared only to those prepared to receive him. And then he moved forward in power. Luke 24. Why should your journey be any different? Let your transformation speak louder than any explanation. You don't owe access to everyone who remembers an outdated version of you. You are not called to revisit every old room or reintroduce yourself to every familiar voice. Show them the garden God grew, but do not invite them to uproot it. This new chapter requires a clean slate, clarity, not chaos, direction, not distraction. Think of yourself like an artist preparing an exhibition. Every brushstroke is deliberate. Every detail carries heaven's intention. Would the painter allow fingerprints on a finished canvas? Neither should you allow disorder in your sacred space. God is not merely showcasing your growth, he is presenting his glory through you. Yes, the weight of favor is real. But don't be surprised by the stretch of new responsibility. Expansion often wears the disguise of discomfort. It feels unfamiliar, not because it is wrong, but because your former self, your survival self, was never built to hold this. That version of you was meant to endure. This one was designed to reign, like David, the shepherd who became king. You've been prepared in private to carry a public crown with humility. Let me tell you about Elijah Stone, a quiet designer sketching ideas in a lonely garage. No spotlight, no acclaim, just obedience. One day, a call came from a global nonprofit, a divine assignment to design a campaign to rescue children from poverty. Elijah wept, not from fear, not from inadequacy, but from revelation, realizing God had been preparing him in the dark all along. The world was about to witness what stillness had produced. What about you? Do you feel that stretch in your spirit, the silent pressure pressing you forward? That's not failure. That's formation. You've been stripped of old thoughts, reset like a compass after drifting in a storm. What seemed like delay was never punishment, it was refinement. Now, as the veil lifts, what is emerging is not some upgraded version, it is the original blueprint finally aligned with heaven's intent. Your confidence no longer comes from applause. It comes from awareness, from prophetic knowing. You are not walking in pride, you are walking in fulfillment. You are not arrogant, you are anchored. You are not forcing anything, you are responding to what heaven has already decreed over your life. A lion in the wild does not roar to prove it is a lion. It roars because it knows. And in the same way, your presence in this season does not need explanation. It is confirmation. You are not here to dominate. You are here to demonstrate. Not to overpower others, but to overflow with the goodness of what God has planted inside you. The light you carry now is not for decoration. It is for direction. It is for others. Pope John Paul II once said, "The future starts today, not tomorrow." Your future is not waiting for a better version of you. It's been waiting for you right now, as you are to finally believe this is the version heaven always intended to shine boldly, chosen one. You are not just becoming, you are revealing. Your story is reminding others of what is possible when God writes the script. You are not rising for recognition. You are rising so others might see the fingerprints of heaven on a life that dared to surrender completely to divine purpose. You are becoming a living testimony, a walking revelation, a vessel through whom God shows what happens when someone trusts Him without borders. And in this appointed time, know this clearly, you are not just being elevated, you are being entrusted. These days are not ordinary, they are precise. They demand not just movement, but discernment. Because not every open door is divine, not every good thing is a God thing. Can you feel the shift, the pull to be quieter, more intentional, more selective? That's not anxiety, that's training. Your spirit has been refined in silence, and now it moves with precision. Like a compass that no longer swings wild, your discernment is tuned to heaven's voice. Trust it. Lean into it. Let it lead you. If you stay close, you won't wander again. Think of Samuel, the prophet in training, learning to distinguish the noise of his surroundings from the voice of God Himself. It took time. It took stillness. It took surrender. 1 Samuel 3. But once he learned the difference, he never missed it again. And now, neither will you. In the same way a blade is sharpened in secret, your spirit has been honed through hidden seasons so that now you can discern destiny from distraction with holy precision. This is not the hour of guessing. This is the hour of knowing. Every step you take now is not a shot in the dark. It is a step etched into eternity, written by God before your first breath ever graced this earth. Nothing about where you are going is random, not the heartbreak, not the delay, not the silence that once seemed cruel. Every pause was purpose. Every ache was alignment. Every slunce was a sanctified preparation for what only you were called to carry. That's why this new chapter fits. That's why the doors no longer require you to kick or push. This is not a season of forcing. This is the season of flowing. You are moving from resistance to rhythm, from pressure to purpose, from survival to supernatural significance. I once met a man named Gabriel, a humble teacher from a forgotten rural town. For years, He quietly wrote curriculum in his tiny apartment unseen, uncelebrated. But one day, a visiting education minister stumbled across his work. Within weeks, that curriculum was adopted nationwide. Gabriel didn't chase impact. He prepared in silence. And when the moment came, it carried his name. So it will be with you. Your gifts are about to make room for you. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Proverbs 18:16. But these won't be just any rooms. These will be rooms of legacy, of wealth, of kingdom-level impact, and it won't feel like intrusion. It won't feel like performing. It will feel like home. Why? Because your soul has finally caught up to where your spirit has always pointed. That longing you've carried for more, it was never ambition. It was prophetic memory. It was the echo of destiny calling you forward, reminding you of what heaven has already confirmed. You are not an outsider. You are not an accident. You are the one this moment was custom made for. Every connection that unfolds now, every divine opportunity, every conversation soaked in presence, will carry the unmistakable aroma of heaven. Even the angels are leaning in, not to correct, but to witness, to correct. They stand in stillness, watching as you step into the space God has long reserved in your name. Poet and prophet Maya Angelou once said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. But now, chosen one, your story will not be whispered in the dark. It is ready to be declared in the light. And oh, how sweet it will be, how holy, how satisfying to proclaim with boldness. The very promises you once only whispered between tears, not because you need applause, but because you endured. You stayed. You didn't trade your calling for comfort. You didn't abandon your process when it got hard. You stood your ground when everything in you said, 'Run.' And that is why your name is now engraved into the reward. Let me tell you of Ever, a woman who battled cancer in silence while mentoring young women through letters and voice notes. She never let them see her pain. She poured out wisdom privately. Knowing God saw what they couldn't, she passed away last year. But just before she did, those same young women gathered and launched a global mentorship foundation in her name. Her reward outlived her, because her obedience wasn't about being seen, it was about being faithful. And now, chosen one, you too are rising into a moment that will not simply bless you, it will bless through you. The heavens are watching not with judgment, but with joy. They have witnessed your groans, heard your prayers, felt your fire, and now they are holding their breath, waiting for you to step fully into the brilliance that was always yours. You didn't miss it. You didn't ruin it. You didn't lose your shot. You are right on time. And the reward, it's not just near. It's arriving, with your name engraved into the glory. You didn't imagine it. Chosen one. You weren't making it up. That sacred urgency in your chest, that whisper in your dreams, that unshakable knowing that more was meant for you, it wasn't fantasy. It was foresight. It was the Spirit bearing witness with your future. Even when life looked like delay. Even when doors slammed shut. Even when disappointment clouded your hope every turn. Every ache. Every inner trembling was moving you closer to this moment. These days were not only divinely marked, they were divinely protected. And now they are being delivered. These days were wrapped in layers of unseen grace. Like Moses, hidden in a basket drifting on dangerous waters, your destiny was insulated from destruction, preserved from premature exposure, and cradled in the arms of divine timing. Not because you were forgotten, but because heaven knew the exact hour you'd be ready. And now, the seal has been broken. The scroll is unrolling, and what's unfolding cannot be reversed. You are no longer where you once stood in the spirit. Something in you has shifted permanently. Your roots have driven deeper into the soil of unshakable faith. Your eyes have adjusted to a new clarity. You no longer beg for vision, you walk in it. Your heart no longer breaks at every storm. You've been fortified in stillness. That's why everything around you feels different. It's not just your surroundings that are shifting. You are. And because of that, your environment must now respond to your elevation. When Jesus was transfigured on the mountain, his very form shifted. Matthew 17. He didn't just look different, he radiated with glory. That's what happens in seasons like this. What's within you begins to transform what's around you. Your presence becomes weighty. Your silence begins to speak. Your words start shaping atmospheres. These days haven't come to maintain the old. They're not here to polish the familiar. They've come to birth the new. The past is no longer your map. It's just your foundation. The future is speaking now. And while it may not shout, it never lies. Listen to the whispers in your spirit, those sacred nudges that guide your yes and your no. Pay attention to the pause before you speak, or the sudden unease in spaces that once brought you joy. That's not confusion. That's alignment. That's your spirit catching up to the exact coordinates of your calling. This is not punishment. This is permission to rise. There's a woman named Celeste, a garden architect from Florence. When her father died, she left her career to care for her grieving mother. People assumed she had vanished, but it was in that silence between watering plants and wiping tears that she received a vision to build healing sanctuaries for the grieving. That vision has now spread to over 20 cities. Her pause wasn't a detour. It was divine recalibration. In the same way, your quiet moments, your hesitations, your spiritual discontent, they aren't signs of failure. They are GPS alerts. Your soul is recalculating, guiding you away from what's familiar and into what's faithful. Stay open. Stay awake. The pressure isn't chaos, it's convergence. You're standing at an intersection now. One road is familiar, predictable, comfortable. The other is wild, vast, prophetic, full of promise. The familiar may feel safe, but it has become too small for what's been planted inside of you. Like a tree that has outgrown its pot, your spirit is pressing against the edges of the life that once contained you. If you try to shrink again, you'll feel it in your soul. A spiritual resistance. Like walking backwards on a moving train, you'll feel off balance, unsettled. Not because you're wrong, but because you've outgrown where you used to live. The shoes of survival too tight. The garments of self-doubt too thin. The language of apology too weak for the mantle you now carry. Expansion is no longer optional. It is your assignment. Even creation knows when the season is changing. The wind shifts. The trees begin to sway. The air becomes heavy with something sacred. That's where you are, not in danger, but in divine transition. The gate is opening, and everything you've been prepared for is standing on the other side waiting. Not for you to be perfect, but for you to proceed. The question is no longer, are you ready? The real question is, will you rise anyway even if your knees still shake because chosen one? You were not just built for the moment. This moment was built for you. The days ahead are no longer moving at the pace of your past. What once took years will now happen in weeks. What once required pushing will now arrive through peace. What once seemed delayed will now be delivered with precision, with power, and with your name woven into its unveiling. Not because shortcuts were taken, but because you chose to remain faithful when faith didn't feel rewarding. You honored the process even when it felt like punishment. You stayed when others walked away. You held your ground during dry seasons when others surrendered at the first sign of discomfort. That unwavering loyalty did not go unnoticed in heaven. God is now activating what was once delayed. The harvest is not just coming, it's coming with acceleration. As Amos 9:13 declares, the day is coming when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman. That means before one blessing finishes unfolding, the next will already be on its way. You are entering a season where what you once chased will begin to chase you. Opportunities, clarity, and divine alignment will begin showing up without force or striving. Doors will open without you knocking. You have been positioned where attraction replaces effort, where presence replaces pressure. Callie, a young entrepreneur, spent 10 years pitching her vision in silence. Suddenly, 4 investors reached out to her in the same week without a single new email. She said, "It's like the silence I surrendered to finally spoke on my behalf." This isn't about skipping the work. It's about how heaven rewards quiet obedience. You prayed in the dark, praised through rejection, forgave without applause, and now the reward is showing up in spaces you never even aimed for. That's how divine reward works. It arrives with breakthrough in its wings and provision in its hands. But here's the shift: when the reward arrives, you may not be moved by what once consumed your desires. That's not burnout, it's breakthrough. Your soul is realigning with a deeper frequency. The noise doesn't impress you anymore. The applause doesn't define you. You no longer measure your value by who sees you. You measure it by who sent you. This is not isolation, it's invitation. It's maturity. A new stillness is taking root in you, and from it, strength is rising. Isaiah 30:15 says, "In quietness and trust shall be your strength." And now, silence fuels you. Stillness energizes you. The chaos that once consumed you no longer fits the rhythm of your spirit. A Catholic cardinal once said, "If your soul is too full of noise, even God's voice will sound like static." That's why you now guard your atmosphere with intention. This shift is not just external, it's internal. You're not just receiving new blessings, you are becoming the version of yourself who can carry them with grace. This is spiritual promotion, and promotion changes everything. Some people will celebrate you, others will not understand you. Some may distance themselves, some may resist, but your identity is not open for debate. Your direction is not up for negotiation. You no longer need applause for what heaven has already confirmed. Malik, once overlooked, now speaks life into hundreds of teens. When questioned, he simply said, "God didn't ask me to explain. He asked me to continue. And that's your instruction too. Not to explain, not to prove, not to debate, but to continue." Like Noah building without applause, like Daniel praying in defiance, like Jesus walking to the cross when the crowd cried for someone else. You are not here to be understood by all. You are here to be faithful to the one who called you. Imagine a river. It does not stop at rocks. It flows. It cuts through stone not with force, but with persistence. You are that river now. Let others watch. Let them wonder. Let them question. But don't stop walking. You are not who you were, and the days ahead were not designed by popularity or consensus. They were written in the mind of God and sealed into the scroll of your destiny. And now they are unfolding layer by layer, wave after waves, each one deeper, each one more holy. The first layer may come like breath returning to tired lungs, like peace after years of spiritual exhaustion. And that's how it begins. Just when you think you've found your rhythm, the next wave arrives, unexpected doors creak open. Unplanned connections form, and ideas descend that are too bold, too radiant to have come from your own mind. This is how heaven moves, in layers that awaken, stretch, and invite. Then comes the third layer, an opportunity cloaked in resistance. But don't be fooled. It's not here to crush you. It's here to carve you. It's stretching you into the shape of someone who can not only receive blessing, but carry weight. God is not just giving you something. He is forging someone. He is forging you. This is the sacred pattern of transformation. David was anointed long before he was crowned. It wasn't the oil that made him a warrior, it was Goliath. And now you must ask, will you recognize the blessing hidden inside the burden? You must. Because this is not a time to be passive. Don't just wish for what's coming. Prepare for it. Train your thoughts to obey truth, not fear. Guard your emotions like sacred territory. Fortify your boundaries until they match your future, not the past you've outgrown. Because what is coming will not accept a version of you still shrinking for spaces no longer worthy of your presence. You'll feel it. A quiet, holy urge to clean. Not just your room, but your life. It might start small, decluttering your desk, donating old clothes, but it's not about tidiness. It's about territory. Your spirit is making space. The environment around you must now rise to meet what's rising within you. No more building homes for chaos. You are curating an atmosphere of flow, of order, of divine readiness. Just as the temple was cleansed before the glory descended, your space is being purified because glory is coming and it will not dwell where disorder reigns. A sculptor once told me, I don't create the statue, I remove what never belonged. And that's what heaven is doing in your life right now. The old layers are falling. The false roles, the worn-out labels, the masks you wore to survive, they are being stripped. You are not who they said you were. In truth, you are not even who you thought you were. These days will introduce you to your original self, the version of you God imagined before the world placed its fingerprints on your soul. Your posture is changing. You'll no longer shrink around those who can't see your light. You'll stop speaking from wounds and begin to speak from wisdom. You won't build out of fear or out of need. You'll build because heaven whispered a blueprint. And the pain that once chased you will realize it no longer has access. The weapon may have been formed, but it can no longer prosper. Not in this season, not in this atmosphere. The fire refined you, the silence forged you, and now you don't just walk in the promise. You carry the power that price produced. You'll feel interruptions, divine ones, the text, a call, whisper, call. A shift that doesn't announce itself loudly but shakes something eternal loose in your spirit. This is how heaven moves. Quietly, suddenly, with precision. God loves surprise, and divine surprise always carries speed. Just as Peter toiled all night with empty nets, only to be overwhelmed the moment Jesus said, "Cast again. Your miracle isn't far, it's in your boat. You just haven't cast on the right side yet. So stay awake, not anxious, but expectant. Stay open, not desperate, but discerning." Coincidences are not accidents, they're breadcrumbs. They're cues from a realm above yours, nudging you forward. You don't need to force the door, you only need to recognize the wind when it begins to shift. What felt delayed is now in motion. The moment you feared missing, it's not behind you, it's catching up. The timeline of heaven has found your name. Your moment was not improvised. It was written. And now it's here. This is the moment time caught up with promise. You are not late. You are not early. You are perfectly synchronized with the divine. Your only job now is to remain present so that when the prompting comes, you recognize it. When the fire says move, you move. When the peace says speak, you speak. Because this is the rhythm of divine timing. Not hurried, not hesitant, but holy. You are no longer racing against time, you are dancing with it. Your rhythm has changed because your alignment has deepened. Your testimony will not be, I forced the future. It will be, I followed the flow, and that flow, the one that whispered to your spirit long before the breakthrough came, has carried you to places your mind never dared to imagine. That is what happens when your days are not ordinary, but appointed, announced by the breath of God Himself. The beauty of these days, chosen one, is that their power does not come from your resume, your background, your reputation, or the noise of public affirmation. They do not respond to perfection. They respond to obedience. They are not drawn to the flawless, but to the faithful. And you were willing. When it made no sense, you said yes. When retreat would have been easier, you stood your ground. You chose peace when bitterness offered comfort. You waited in quiet trust while the calendar seemed to mock you. And that is why these days arrive with both weight and wonder. They are not random. They are recognition. You carry something rare now, a soul that survived fire and still chose compassion. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you walked through flames designed to erase you and emerged not even smelling of smoke. So when people begin to say, you feel different, don't flinch. That glow they notice, it's not image, it's consecration. You've been trained in heaven's hidden classroom, one-on-one tutoring in trust, quiet tests in patience, silent strengthening of spiritual muscle. And now you carry the authority of one who did not quit. Grace, a retired flight attendant I once met, said something unforgettable after losing everything: her child, her health, her career. During her long recovery, she whispered, I thought I was being buried, but it turns out I was being planted. And 2 years later, her pain became her platform. She led retreats that healed what no hospital could. The calling didn't arrive with a spotlight. It arrived like a seed, hidden in grief, watered by endurance, and it grew. That is what is happening in you now. These divine days aren't just adjusting your circumstances, they are re-architecting your inner structure. You are not stepping into ease. You are stepping into rebirth. As 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. All things are becoming new. That becoming is now. It's not symbolic, it's structural. This spiritual promotion is happening whether the world sees it or not. You don't need to campaign for recognition. You don't owe clarity to anyone still clinging to the version of you that no longer exists. Your fruit will speak louder than your explanations. Your posture, your peace, your power, these will testify. The transformation you've walked through is not cosmetic. It's kingdom. Like a butterfly shedding its cocoon, you are not asking permission to rise, you are rising, and you will not apologize for it. You've outgrown places you once fit. Don't shrink to re-enter them. Don't dim your light so others feel more comfortable in their shadows. This season is not about coddling insecurity. It's about walking fully in what heaven has placed on your life. This is a season of bold movement, not arrogance, clarity, not noise, authority. You will walk differently now. Your steps will sound like strategy. Your voice will carry the weight of wisdom. You won't need to prove anything, your obedience already did. And more than blessing, this season carries assignment. A mantle is being placed on you. You are not just being elevated, you are being entrusted. Leadership is upon you. Clarity is in you. Responsibility is flowing from you. Have you noticed how chaos settles when you speak, how rooms shift when you enter? That's not charisma. That's divine positioning. You were chosen to carry this. You were entrusted to reflect this. You were anointed not just to be seen, but to be sent. You are not just blessed to be comfortable, you are blessed to be a conduit, a current of glory running through human soil. You are the breath of breakthrough. Not only for yourself, but for rooms, cities, and generations waiting for someone who would dare to carry the weight of divine strategy without shrinking under its brilliance. Now is the time to stop doubting what your spirit confirmed long before the evidence arrived. The rooms that once felt too grand were never meant to intimidate you. They were waiting to be redefined by your presence. No more playing small in atmospheres you were designed to shift. No more silencing your power to protect someone else's comfort. You were never created to blend in. You were created to build, to blaze, to bear witness. Your very posture is a prophecy. You are not a guest, you are the one the moment was prepared for. And the blessing on your life, it's not coming, it's already moving through you. You are not chasing favor. You are walking as evidence that it's already landed. So rise. These days have not just been revealed in dream or vision, they've arrived in your present reality. And with their arrival comes weight. Elevation isn't just a crown, it's a cross. Influence demands integrity. Power calls for purity. This next chapter will not only test what you carry, it will confirm it. You must move clean. You must stay rooted in truth when applause comes, and even more so when it doesn't. Let the oil flow, but keep your heart unclouded. This favor is not flattery, it is function. You have outgrown manipulation. You've graduated from striving. You are not here to force results. You are here to flow in rhythm with the will of God. Your soul is magnetic now, not to crowds, but to calling. The posture of peace has replaced the panic of performance. You've learned to rest. You've learned to wait. You've learned that what's yours is not earned by noise, it's drawn by alignment. And when heaven moves, it doesn't shout. It draws, it reveals, it delivers. Now every part of your day begins to vibrate with divinity. Conversations feel orchestrated. Delays start to feel strategic. Interruptions begin sounding like invitation. You no longer brush past moments, you discern them. You don't just see with eyes, you sense with spirit. This is the maturity formed not in platforms, but in fire. It was carved from silence, trained by tears, and matured in midnight prayers. This kind of discernment is not taught, it is entrusted. Like coral reefs growing slow beneath waves unseen, your beauty has been building far below the surface. And now God says, let it rise. The unveiling is upon you. Not loud, but unmistakable. Not forced, but fully formed. There is a divine choreography unfolding now. You don't need to see the entire dance, you only need to follow the rhythm. The path is not hidden. It's being revealed in obedience. One step, then another. That is enough. You are not walking blindly, you are walking boldly. The word is your lamp. The presence is your compass. The whisper is your strategy. You are being honored not for perfection, but for perseverance. Heaven is not responding to public image, it's rewarding private integrity. That time you forgave quietly, that offering you gave when you were barely holding on. That morning you got up and worshipped through the ache. These moments were recorded in heaven's archive, and now they are returning not as survival but as overflow. Everything is aligning now. Your thoughts are clearing. Your emotions are steady. Even your physical body can feel the shift it is preparing to carry glory. You feel lighter, not because life is suddenly easy, but because your spirit is finally leading. And when the spirit leads, the body submits, the mind quiets, the soul breathes. Now look closely. What you once pursued, it's turning around. The vision that felt far is drawing near. The name you whispered in hope is now being spoken in rooms of decision. This is not karma. This is kingdom. The seeds you sowed in silence are now rising to surface tall, radiant, undeniable. You are becoming what you always were in heaven, chosen, sent, sealed. And the next chapter. It is not being written by chance. It's being activated by your very breath. It's coming back to find you, not by coincidence, not by chance, but by divine choreography. You are about to witness the great reversal, the tables turning, the roles shifting. The very voices you once looked up to are now turning their ears toward you. The very spaces you once prayed to enter are now searching for your name. The atmosphere around you has shifted because heaven has whispered a new command over your timeline now. Resources that were hidden are being released. Help you didn't know how to ask for is being revealed. Doors that once refused to move are opening without effort. And you don't have to knock. You don't have to chase. You only have to be. These are not just days of blessing. These are lessons in divine receptivity. You are being taught how to hold abundance without guilt, how to lead from light and no longer from fear, how to glow with glory and never again shrink for comfort. You were never meant to disappear into the background. Camouflage was never your calling. You were born for clarity, for impact. You are a city on a hill, not a flicker beneath a basket. That's why the oil on your life is loud now. It's calling to hidden realms. It's awakening dormant doors. It's quieting every lie that tried to convince you that you were too late, too broken, or too unqualified. And now, finally, you rise not to boast, but to bless, not to prove, but to pour, not in pride, but in unshakable, holy power. You are no longer walking toward your destiny. You are walking as it. You didn't stumble upon this moment. This word found you. Heaven sent it, wrapped in light, carrying the exact frequency your soul had been waiting to hear. It is not a coincidence that your heart is burning. It's confirmation that you have arrived. These divine days are not testing you. They are affirming you. The striving season is over. Now, you are being summoned to stand in your truth, stand in your authority. Stand in the anointing that was always yours, even before it was acknowledged. This is the season where spiritual alignment becomes visible fruit. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more apologizing for the mantle you carry. You didn't steal it. You didn't fake it. You were born for it. Every delay, every detour, every wilderness walk has led you to this place not to explain who you are, but to express the fullness of what you've become. Let this word take root. Let it speak louder than the doubt. Let it resurrect every buried dream. If your spirit is burning, it's because your name is on this moment. Let heaven and earth witness your yes. Let your agreement be the gateway. Let your surrender be the signature. To those who have stood beside this message, not just in donation, but in presence, in faith. In resonance, you are part of the wave God is sending through His chosen ones, whether your support is seen or silent. Heaven records every act. You are not overlooked. You are part of a rising. And if this word lit something in you, don't let it die in silence. Share it, carry it, speak it. Let it multiply in the lives of others, because what comes next will not just require your belief, it will require your voice, your presence, your full obedience. May favor wrap around you like an unbreakable shield. May peace go before you like a river, smooth and unstoppable. May every divine day, once hidden in the chambers of heaven, now explode into view with radiant grace. And may you never again question who you are. You are chosen. You are ready. You are rising. God bless you always.